5 p.m. Heidrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer. Moheski. Hatke.
Here.
Pettit.
Here.
Scornia. Sullentrup.
Here.
Waterman. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since we do not have a quorum, we cannot approve the minutes of the workshop meeting, so we'll just jump to the reported department heads.
Okay, John, did you want to talk about your agenda item first?
All right. Thanks from the peanut gallery. Okay, real quick, let me get this pulled up so you'll see what we're talking about. Okay, so, good evening, Council. As promised, Tony and I have been working pretty hard, and actually Mark Scornia as well, on we were able to get a MEM, Missouri Employers Mutual grant, which is a safety grant. In response to some of our trash collectors getting hurt over summer, we looked at different options to try to lessen the burden, I guess, of lifting heavy trash receptacles on back of trucks. I think it's been an issue for quite some time. So in doing so, this MEM grant, it was trash tippers were eligible as part of the MEM grant. So we were able to get that grant, and it was up to $10,000, dollar per dollar match. And the actual tippers themselves are approximately $22,000 to put on the trucks. So we moved forward with getting that done. I think we rushed that grant application pretty quick, and they did give it to us. And Tony, I believe, has 3 of the 4 trucks equipped with them now. So he's been using them in the shop. We have a couple receptacles that have the lifting bars and things on them already. So we've been just trying them out. They are 8 to 10 second cycle times. So every time you roll one of these up, it'll flip that trash container over in about 8 to 10 seconds. So we've been just trying to quantify how much slower is it, which I think is somewhat of a positive, especially in the summer months when our guys are eager to work and get done. You'll see them really, busting, moving pretty quick. So this allows them just a little bit of a breathing, time with having these tippers on the trucks. So in doing so, I'm not prepared to roll this out yet because it does take a code review, and we don't have them on all the trucks yet. We would hope to have that done by the next council meeting, and we'll get this in front of you all as a valid code amendment. But this is what I'm proposing to the actual code itself, Chapter 220. The red is what's being removed. That essentially speaks to, it's more of a reorganization, and it speaks to the time of the day to get the cans out. If you look there in the red, it says in the early morning of each day. So such receptacles shall be placed as not to be a public nuisance and in the early morning of each day. Well, it's hard for us to quantify what that is. So what we've done in the past is put it in a flyer, and it says 5 a.m. It's in our little flyer that we send out. So rather than operate under that early morning concept, some people think early morning is 10 a.m. But we decided to put that actually in the code. So we just tried to clean some things up. So what you see there, the red is getting removed. Everything that isn't been touched is staying the same. And then we're going to add the italicized bold. So receptacles shall be placed after 6 p.m. on the day next preceding the regularly scheduled collection day. So 6 p.m. the day before your scheduled pickup. So that way they're not sitting out there 3 o'clock in the afternoon the day before, but no later than 5 a.m. on the regular scheduled collection day. Such receptacles shall be placed so as not to be a public nuisance. It just reads the same there. At the street curbing or at the alley. Now, there's still some discretion there, but we haven't had any issues so much with that. Here's where we get to the actual receptacles themselves. Receptacles shall be comply with either one of the 2 options. So what we're doing now is, previously we have 35-gallon containers that can't weigh more than 50 pounds, or we can't really weigh 50 pounds in the field, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But we stuck with that same kind of verbiage. So option 1, no more than 35 gallons in volume and weigh no more than 50 pounds when filled with refuse, garbage, or ashes. So it's the same operating principle as what we do today. Nothing changes. What it does, though, is option 2. So it gives you, the citizens, an option to say, larger receptacles shall meet the specifications set forth on the current approved refuse container list on file with the city clerk. Now, you may say that's hard to come up with. The reason why we do it that way is if somebody wants to use that option, contact city clerk, my office, Tony, whatever, and we have developed an approved list that'll be a running list of manufacturers. So if a manufacturer wants to come into town, or if you purchase one that is not on the approved list, we will review it to see if it meets our specification. But I can't, you need to check with us first. So what we have going is there's one brand with multiple sizes that we know work with our lifters. It's a toter brand that can be purchased at Ace Hardware, Lowe's, and Walmart at this time, and I'm sure you can purchase some other locations, but it gives you 3 buying options in town. They go all the way up to 96 gallons, so you can essentially take your 35-gallon cans and then condense that now into one singular cart that's on wheels that we roll up to the back of the trucks and flip in. So we're not making it mandatory you do that, because you could still use the 35-gallon ones you had before. But if you put a 45-gallon out that isn't on the approved list, you will get tagged.
Make that sentence statement again, please.
We are
Will
not,
not be required.
what's that?
Just so the paper knows, and read that statement again.
We are not making it a requirement to get the larger carts. You could still purchase the 35-gallon ones, and it'll be picked up like it always has. But if you get a 45-gallon or a 50-gallon container that is not on the approved list, you will get tagged, and that will not be, we will not, we will move forth with working through the process to get you to get a different trash cart, essentially. So, and I can get, Greg, I can get you the list. It's not a problem at all. We can post it on our website. The plan was to roll it out via city website, Facebook, just to get it visually out there. We feel like it'll really help with our work comp, and we feel like it's a benefit to the citizens for sure. You're not forced to do it, but it is a potential valuable asset for you. So I'm open to
Any
all
questions
ideas.
or comments?
Has there been people already using these containers?
Yeah, I will say I have a good friend of mine actually has a 35-gallon toter brand cart. So it's same principle as the 96, it's just 35-gallon. So if he continues to use that cart, we can roll that cart up, even though it's only 35-gallon, and use the container to lift it. So yes, they have been using it, but it's been 35-gallon maximum. So maybe to answer your question better, nobody is using one over 35 gallons because we don't allow that at this time. This just gives you an option 2. And there's other manufacturers out there. I know Rubbermaid makes some, things like that. It's just I don't have the specifications. And if any manufacturer or supplier would come and entertain, giving us that, we would definitely entertain that as being put on the list. So it'll be a fluid list that'll add to. So
it's going to be mandatory to use these, or they can still use trash bags?
They can still use trash bags.
No.
and
Yeah, bags-
Under option 1.
yeah, bags are is option 1. Bags are under option 1. 35-gallon bags or a can has always been approved. Nothing changes from what you've. So if you use the 35-gallon bag or an actual can, we're not changing what we're doing. But now you have an option to go larger if so you choose.
50 or 90.
It may be, I don't know the price of a 35-gallon container, but, maybe you go in and you need 3 35-gallon cans. Well, it may be cheaper for you now to purchase 196 cart, and you may see it as a better value to you as well. So it's the goal here, if we get 10% of the city using these, and it always allows us to look into purchasing and things of that nature. All the options are still out on the
We just think this is the best way to go ahead and
To
get
roll it
started.
out.
Sure it is. It's fine.
When are you going to start immediately?
This will start after council approves the ordinance, which will come hopefully the second meeting in January. So,
February 1.
yeah, exactly. We just don't have all the trucks equipped, and we're not going to send trucks all around town off their normal routes to
Right.
get this. So,
Okay, do we need to enter that into?
We can't.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's true. Okay,
So if
any
there's
other
any-
questions,
yeah,
comments?
No, thank you. I've been waiting for that for a long time, so.
yeah. If there's anything, we looked into trying to specify the brand. I don't know what happened. Specify the brand in the actual code itself, but we felt that with the fluid,
Internet.
the fluidness of the manufacturers, that we didn't think that that would be the best way to do it.
That's why you guys were having.
Yeah, I think it's right. We can't be just one brand. If another brand fits and works, then by all means.
Right.
Sure. Makes sense. I think it's a great
Okay,
step.
thank you. Good job.
So,
Yep.
and then I guess while I'm up
You
here,
want to
I'll
go ahead and, yeah.
give you an update on what's going on at
Yes.
the landfill. Okay, so as we're all aware, the landfill, we are still under construction of that last cell. I'm not aware of winter time where we've had rain every 5 days, but it's been a struggle, to be quite honest with you, to get to the end here. We have these, they're called drainage curtains. Essentially, they're French drains that are on the liner that drain leachate from the new cell. And we have one of those still to be constructed. So we had a very small window, weather window, from last week, New Year's, we had 2 inches of rain essentially, to this week. So I authorized the contractor to get lime stabilization, to lime stabilize all the silt that's silted into this low area, and to get it stabilized and start getting this curtain drain put in, or this drainage curtain put in. We did get that done over the weekend. We worked 2 24-hour days to get that done because of the rain today that I was very much concerned about. So we did get it in. There's some sand to get put on it. We have a little bit of liner work that needs to be done. There was a little damage done to a liner. We've mobilized the liner company. They will be in town on Wednesday morning. So I'm hoping, optimistic, that by Friday of this week, the construction will be complete, other than maybe some final grading. DNR is already reviewing all the QA, QC stuff, so we're doing this conjunction to keep going. But Tony and the guys are pulling their hair out because they're running out of room. We have room. It's just, it's a struggle. So I get plenty of calls that the road to get up for the smaller trucks and things like that is wet. I would just ask people if they want to utilize a landfill, do hand loads, things of that nature, take advantage of that $15 minimum that they use four-wheel drive pickups, and we'll do everything we can to continue to operate. But we did fog manpower and took advantage of what we could. So,
Any questions? Okay, thank you, John.
The
I'll do
code
Mary next.
review?
Yep.
Is
Go
that
ahead.
it? Okay. In your packet, you have a summary of the code review that I've been working on for the last 6 months. If you want to look at the original document, it's here. I just went through and summarized the changes that staff feels that should be made. I can go through them if you want. We do have a lot of reserved sections because we've amended it so many times. We're going to do away with those and renumber everything. We're changing the word policeman to police officers. We're going to combine Chapter 110, Article 1 and 2 into the one chapter. Council meeting time in the code right now, it says 7:30. We're actually doing it at 7. Section 110-430, the police chief is responsible for the lights and the heat in the council chamber. We're deleting that.
We're deleting that. That's
Build a
good that
fire.
we're deleting it.
Yeah, and
Build a fire, chief.
there's a lot of different things in there. Like when we changed in the finance department, sometimes we referred to the finance manager and the finance director. Everything's going to be finance director. We're doing away with, let's see.
Hey, Mary, that one says change all references to finance manager to finance director.
I'm
just
sorry,
made-
it
gotta
should
just-
be from finance
that's fine.
manager to finance director. I'm sorry. We're going to eliminate the addressing part of my job because I do not do the addressing. That's coordinated through engineering and emergency services. So that's going to be deleted. The lining up for when you file for candidacy, right now it states you have to line up at the east door. It'll now be the north door so we can be more ADA compliant. Then we're going to delete the reference to the state law references that no longer exist regarding the city depository. We're going to update our open meetings records and votes to reflect the changes to go along with the state legislation. Here's another one. The police department shall have a marshal who shall be the chief of police. We're just doing away with the word marshal, and it's just the police department shall have a chief of police. The animal abuse section, that we're going to update that to correspond with the state statutes. And the vaccinations, it said every 12 months. Well, now you can get a vaccine for your dog or cat that lasts 3 years, so we're changing that. Library fines are no longer current, so we're changing that. The boating alcohol, blood alcohol, we're going to go with the recommendation to go with the state statute and lower that from 0.10 to 0.08. Then there's a section on here, no person under 14 shall operate a motor boat upon the waters of the state unless purchased. It kind of gives you I'm sure you don't want me to sit here and read all this to you. But if you have questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. We're removing the term non-intoxicating beer according to the state. That no longer exists. I don't know if you remember 3-2 beer. That no longer exists. So the state removed it, so we're going to update it to go with the state. Let's see, planning and zoning, the general code went through and there were some words missing out of our section 405-540. And the Planning and Zoning Commission has approved to go ahead and update it to coincide with the state statute. They're changing the massage establishment charge for business license from $60 to $75 and from $25 to $30. And then the section on taxi cabs, it'll go from 5 passengers to 7 passengers. And staff proposed to delete approval of an application. So you would no longer need to approve that through council for a taxi service. Now you have to understand, Ubers do not have to have business licenses according to the state.
Mary, is that one copy or is there several copies there?
This is just one copy here. I did not make any copies, but you're welcome to come and review it if you'd like, or I can make
No.
you a copy, or I just didn't.
One copy, it was, she
Mark?
handed it to me and I handed it back. So anyway,
Mark did review
Yeah,
it.
thank
He did not have any reservations with any of it.
in all honesty though, once we broke it down, or once you broke it down into sections,
Right.
it was a lot.
And there are a lot
Or-
of items in here that we are not making changes to. They made suggestions and we decided, no, we want to stick with what we have. And each department looked at their section of the code and put in their input and how they felt about it. There still will be changes, I'm sure. But those are things we can always adjust as we find them. Any questions?
Nope. Thank you.
You're
Any
welcome.
questions? Okay,
And
so,
later, once this is, we can't approve it or pass it on to council here, but on your council agenda,
can
you
now.
will have, well, we now have a quorum, but it's going to be on the council agenda for approval so that I can move forward with having general code complete the revisions, and then an ordinance will come back to you for recodification.
so can we do that tonight at our next, at our
You can do
following
it at the
meeting?
following meeting, yes. Just
Okay, so-
approve the
you've got it
changes
on
so
the
that I can
regular
send it
agenda.
back to general code and have these items updated.
So now that we have a quorum, can we vote to send this to council?
Yeah, you can go ahead and
Okay.
send that.
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Sullentrup, seconded by Patke, to send this item on to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you've sent that on. Thank you.
And since we do have a quorum, do you want to go ahead and approve the minutes?
Sure.
Make
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Sullentrup, to approve the minutes from our last meeting dated December 3rd, 2018. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, you approve the minutes. Thank you. Okay, now we're going back to department head, right?
Yes,
So-
Chief, you want to go first?
Anyone want to?
Evening, council. I'll keep it short for you. Give you the criminal situation in Washington. Last night, right now standing a count of 20 property damages for spray painting. Just wasn't in the city, Emerald City, a couple subdivisions surrounding the city. I would guess youths involved would hang out the window and spray as they drove by. They did manage to get out and decorate a few garages and some cars, but there's more being reported yet tonight. I'm sure we'll get more, but we'll work on who might have done that. They have lots of video out there these days, so you never know. Plus, people like to talk. Everybody's read the papers, aware of the overdose epidemic that we had. Started the 26th, it ran up to the 1st of the year. We had 7 here in the city. All survived. One young gentleman was revived 3 times. County had 4 deaths. Between the county, our municipality, other municipalities, the hospital had 22 overdoses brought in. You're looking at 50 overdoses from a hot batch of heroin. A hot batch means they're mixing it with fentanyl if it's not pure fentanyl. So they take it and they overdose. We've apprehended several individuals that were dealing it. Their drugs have been taken away, and of course, because of the way the system works, they're booked and released until the results of the lab come back. But these spot overdoses like this mass overdose happen throughout the country when they get a hot batch of heroin, and we just happen to have one coming to town here, so.
So how long does it take to get the results back from the testing? You don't want to say? Months?
Yes.
Does the highway patrol do that, or where does that go? Okay.
If we want something really fast, we go to St. Louis County. But given the volume in that here,
So it
or
could be
we
months.
pay for it if we really, really want it, which.
That's
pay-
interesting. They could be on their next batch by then.
Well, a lot of people are in jail for selling drugs, and then they're back out, and then they go back in jail for reselling drugs, so.
Yeah.
But we've hopefully got that supply, getting rid of that and the people that are, so we've got several in jail from that. A couple of them from here in town that were dealing out of a basement they were living in, so. And if you haven't seen it, you have the superhero car from the SROs. So if you'd like to take a look at it, please come by, or we can bring it by a council meeting next week. It's a project worked with the school system where the students submitted drawings of superheroes. So 500 students participated. 3 were chosen from the SROs in the school district, and those 3, the originals are on the trunk, and then Science 360 redid the graphics to make them look really, really nice and put the superheroes on the car. So it's a nice standout piece that all the grade schoolers really love, and the children of the community really like it a lot. So
I saw it in person today.
Yeah.
It was nice.
it is. It's very nice. Thanks to Science 360. They did all that for nothing. They put all that together.
Good. Thank you.
Out the community.
Any questions of Chief? Okay. Thank you.
You pick.
Well, it used to be Lisa.
Good evening, all. Just a quick update. Motorola was out last month. We are complete with our project. There's one item that still needs to be addressed, but we went through all of the spare equipment that I had been shipped. Some of it has been returned, and then we'll receive our final bill after they deduct what I returned to them. And just a little extra update. Most of you will remember last year we instituted a new alarm ordinance. With that new ordinance, we redid the ordinance so that it was one free one in a year, then a $50 fine, a $75 fine, and a $100 fine. And we also instituted with that an automatic $100 fine, whether it was your first one or your third one of the year, if that alarm was caused due to the negligence of either you were working on it or your alarm company came out and they were working on it and emergency equipment got sent. So I was looking at the alarms for the entire year, and I just thought I'd give you a little update of how that went. So I separated out our residential alarms, and in 2018, we had 55 active residential alarms. 37 were new users, which means we don't have really any way for me to find out that somebody put an alarm in their house until they get an alarm that goes off. So that's when I send them out a alarm ordinance letter saying, here's the City of Washington's alarm ordinance, this is what it entails, contact me if you have any questions. So I sent 37 letters out regarding that. 38 people received a one-time free one, 5 received a $50 fee, 1 received a $75 fee, and the same person received a $100 fee twice. So residential, I billed out $525 in 2018, and I collected $525.
So that one person paid that?
Yes.
They admitted guilt and said
Yes.
they were at fault? Okay.
Yes. Your dog running at large in your home, it sets off your alarm, then you're at fault. So, and it wasn't an automatic fee. Sometimes alarms are set too sensitive, or they haven't maintained their alarm system properly, so sometimes that's where it falls in. So business related, there were 125 active alarms for businesses. 21 of those were new users. 100 of them received their first letter. 40 received a $50 fine. 21 received a $75 fine. 32 received a $100 fine, and 12 received that automatic fine for them not calling their alarm out or whatever was the reason. Of that was a total of $7,975, $7,975. I currently have some outstanding because they're not due until next month, so I have $2,075 that is due for next month. I have a total of $525 past due, which means that the date that I gave them, they still have not been paid. And I collected $5,375 in 2018. From 2017, I still have $250 outstanding from 2017, all business related.
Lisa, is there some kind of grace period for an alarm? So,
It's 30, well, I give them at least, by the ordinance, I have to give at least 30 days. Usually, I give a little bit more than 30 days, depending on when I do them. So I did them, I'm in the process of completing them. They have a due date of February the 15th, so that's more than 30 days that I'm giving them.
So if a person, alarm goes off and they call 1050 and say that there's an accident, they get charged for the alarm or not?
It depends. It depends on whether or not they get on the scene. So fire department, they always respond to verify because you have to respond to verify the fire alarms. Sometimes our law enforcement does disregard depending upon the circumstances. So if somebody arrives on the scene and it's found to be something that could have been controlled, then they are fined. The ones that are getting the $100 fee, those are usually the alarm company is there and they failed to call it out. One place they were cleaning the detector and set it off. So those are the ones that I find. Anybody who sets their alarm off, unfortunately we have some dry cooking. That doesn't mean that the alarm malfunctioned, it did what it was supposed to do, but it does require a fire department response. Those are not fined. Anything that's weather-related is not fined. So anything that's out of your control, they do not receive an alarm on.
Makes sense.
So.
I appreciate that update. I know we talked about this a year ago, and
How many has Joe had?
I don't think there's any for Borgia. Is there two? But they were freebies, right? Yeah. So just so you know, I mean, it resets every year. So the 1st of January, it reset. So now everybody is down to 0 again, you know, so. And I'll start over again this year.
Thanks.
So,
Our fire department may not see that, but it definitely is advantageous for all, no doubt. In the long run, it'll be a benefit, no doubt.
yeah.
Good.
And that's all I really have for you.
Any other questions of Lisa?
We up to par on dispatchers?
I'm still down one, you know, with Gwen's retirement. So I have some applications sitting on my desk to review. So
Where does the fine money go? Into your
General
budget?
revenue.
General budget? And do we have any, those who are outstanding, do we have anything that, do we need an ordinance to back that?
we were kind of discussing that earlier today, and it's something that we do need to take forward. You know, when we had once the court was disbanded, it was kind of like, okay, now what do we do with alarm fines? Because they no longer have a court date, they have a due date. So I have been making phone calls to those that are past due, trying to get those collected. I think we made the decision today that they will now start receiving a summons. But you can't, you know, you can't do a summons to a business, you have to do it to a person, so there'll have to be some legwork there. So some of these businesses that have a manager or, you know, a supervisor of some sort, that's possibly who's going to receive that.
Just want to give a backbone to that
Yeah.
Right.
collection process. That's
Right. I mean, I have been trying all 2018 to recover the 2017 fees. So, and we got them down to 3. So that's a lot better than it used to be.
That's great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Who used to be next, Mary?
No, Mary, what do you mean, Mary? Mary's not here.
I don't know who it was.
Who's
Okay,
afraid
who
to
wants
get
to
up?
come up next?
Tony.
Tony, you look like you're ready.
Good evening, council. Real quick, a couple vehicle things we are working on. We did go out for bid for a new pickup truck. We did have on our budget. We did not receive any bids back. So we're going to slide that a couple months. Modern Auto basically said they were going through a body style change and were unable to bid on it. So we'll work on that later in the year. We're also looking at buying ourselves a new equipment trailer. If you guys recall the old tractor we have that has the equipment trailer on it, the truck was scheduled to be replaced this year. It's in really almost unsafe shape. But we decided not to buy a new truck, and instead we're going to buy a new trailer that we'll just tow with our tandem dump trucks. It'll come out a little cheaper on that end. At the same time, we also have a small single axle dump truck that we had budgeted for this year. We have a couple of them. They're kind of the workhorse of the shop for potholes, asphalt, rock repair, just about anything. We did have the truck budgeted, but we are going to bump that up, and we're going to put a plow and a spreader on it also. We noticed the last snow season that the smaller trucks tended to be a little bit shortfalls for us, so we're going to have that option. And then finally, we the truck, the trailer. I guess that's it for vehicles. So hopefully we'll have some of them coming down the line in the near future. We do have some sidewalk repair coming up. We've got some pothole work coming up in the next couple of weeks, maybe even this week. Holiday lights are coming down on Thursday night. We are going to start going out for bid for grinding our mulch out at the recycle center. We usually get that done around March, so we'll go out and start getting some bids in for that. And then finally, we did our Christmas tree pickup today. The guys said they went through, we had 2 trucks out. Apparently they did the whole town. If people didn't get picked up, they can leave them out. We will pick them up with our normal yard waste pickup on Mondays. And since they're just Christmas trees, a lot of times if the guys are out doing drains, they'll grab a Christmas tree. If I'm driving out, I go to the recycle center 3 times a day. I'll throw Christmas trees in my truck. So it's just kind of as we go. And that's about it.
Any questions of Tony?
Tony, when you got plows ready to go, how many trucks do we have with plows on them?
We have 6 large trucks, and we have, in our department, we have 2 small ones, and Parks, I believe they have 3.
3.
So a lot of times when you get into a section of town with a lot more snow, it's nice to have a bigger truck, but it's nice to have a smaller truck follow up to clean the cul-de-sacs because they can maneuver around a lot better. And this last snow event, the bigger trucks just got so far ahead that the small trucks just couldn't keep up because there's just only one truck trying to cover 2 sections along with the city parking lots, along with the business district. So the smaller salt trucks are definitely going to come in handy for
So
us.
7 total. 7 total.
Yep.
Tony, I would like to task you with a project or at least some information. The leaf pickup situation, and I know we kind of ran into that with the vacuum and all that this year. Would you check this scenario for me? If we would, as a city, provide residents with leaf bags, and they would fill the bags with their leaves, and we would pick them up on a more leisurely schedule than just twice through town, whatever it may be, dump truck, trash truck, whatever, pick up those bags, recycle center. We do without the leaf sucker, all that kind of stuff. The cost of us per year just to, buy 2,000 bags or whatever it may be. Lowe's has those kind of things. And we get them something, you don't have to have our name on them, but just plain. And we hand out bags if they want yard waste leaf bags, and we pick the bags up and we're gone. And would it be less maintenance? Would it be less labor? Would it be less cost? It's something to look into.
I can see where on our side, you guys may not know, but sometimes when we pick up yard waste, we take one of our old trash trucks out because you can fill it with yard waste. It'll hold a lot more than the smaller trucks. I can see where if everybody had everything bagged up and we did it that way, I could see some benefit to that. It'd be a little bit quicker, easier on manpower. But we can look into it. Even if we did the rounds and said we're going to do leaves this day and this day, if nothing else, if they got it bagged up, when we do come back on their Monday for their regular yard waste pickup, then we grab the bags.
Right. And just a scenario that I just like to see some numbers and the possibilities. That's all.
If you propose like a hybrid situation to where right now we do 2 rounds, but maybe you do 1, pick a time, maybe middle of November, late November, just do 1 round through town, but provide bags as well. Because right now we do 2, and it really does bog us down. Bags are cheap. I mean.
Well, I guess my overall scenario would be that we could eliminate the leaf suckers, and the reason we drive across town with a truck full of leaves and dump it and come back, and I know that's labor intensive. There's no doubt about it. So again, some people do it anyway. You see the bags they already have there anyway. If we would provide the bags, would be cost ahead, and it would keep the leaves out of the gutter. That's our main goal here. Years ago was to keep the leaves out of the gutter and out of the storm sewer system. And when they sit, what?
That's actually
right. But even this year, we ran into an issue as in one machine breaks down and then they're in the gutter for weeks. That we can't control that. But if they're in bags, and I just think it'd be a lot simpler, a lot cleaner. If someone's going to take the time to blow them to the curb, maybe they'd rather fill a bag next to their house and set them at the curb. I don't know.
We've had negative comments on that where people said, "Well, I've blown them to the curb. Why are you going to come get them?" And we said, "Well, we're already done, but you could bag them and we'll pick them up." And that didn't go over so well.
Well, right.
You can't please everybody, though.
No, I agree. I just like to get the numbers, and maybe if it's a better option, or maybe it's not, and I can be told I'm wrong.
Get an idea how much bags cost. Sure. Anything else? All right.
Okay, thank you, Tony.
Thank you, guys.
Introduce Wayne.
So since we have almost a full house now, our new Parks Director is here this evening, Wayne Dunker. So Wayne, if you'd like to come forward, you can tell us what you all learned today or something like that.
Wayne had his first day on the job. So.
Today was his first day.
Today was the first day. So
Wayne comes to us from Clayton.
Yes.
And so
recreation manager there, so oversaw aquatics, fitness, and sports. And so today was the first day, so I'm learning, keys and email and voicemail, and met with Shauna for quite a while this afternoon, and attended the department head meeting this morning. So from what Chad has informed me, the guys have been out. They're getting ready to set up disc golf tomorrow in Burger Park. What else? Out trimming trees, and then they'll be doing equipment maintenance and getting everything ready for the summer. So
in the future, if you could look into too. I know, this has been an item here for a long time, but the center, down on Highway 100, the
Medians.
mediums, need to be, looked at. Maybe we can, I know it's a state thing and they want the natural grasses and so on and so forth. But if we could do a better job of maintaining that maybe in the near future. I mean, tell Chad, tell you what's going on there, but
Yeah, we'll,
we can look into that, maybe try to get something different going there.
sure. Yeah, we'll look into it and have.
We need a fresh opinion is what we need.
Yes,
So-
that's why.
Okay. Thanks.
Chad, you want?
On some of that stuff last year, I don't know if you looked at like the Walmart median and the one by Penny's, we actually did change some areas out. We put some different things in there, trying to give a little bit more color.
Last fall?
Well, no, it was this fall.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like, has it bloomed
Yeah,
yet?
it is. We just finished it, and you'll be seeing more color. We added some different plants, trying to get a little bit more color into that. I mean, the one problem, if we do go to more of a manicured look, I mean, we have a lot of complaints now about what we do when we close the medians down, and we only do it about 4 times a year. We will be doing that on a lot more regular basis. If we, I mean, I think we're all goals to get more color out there, you know, especially in the spring and the fall, you know, and move forward from there. But we got
Not much color this time of year, and there's not much color anywhere this time of year.
We just need to remember.
But that always seems to be when the complaint hits in Facebook, so.
The more manicured look that we have will take a lot more maintenance to it.
Oh, I know, it's very.
You know, and it is still labor intensive. I mean, we still got to go out there and, you know, pull the weeds and stuff like that. We have been, this past year, we've sprayed a lot more to help keep the weeds down, so we didn't have to close the lanes down as much. Because if we just go out there just to do a little maintenance just for like an hour or so, we don't have to actually close the lane down. It's when we got to do a big undertaking or mulching or trimming or something like that, we have to close them lanes down per MoDOT.
And the state was, the understanding in the first place, and I don't think we said that enough, was if we put all native grasses out there, we have less maintenance and no weeds, because the native grasses would have held the weeds down. Well, then we switched because it didn't look pretty, so now we're trying to make it look pretty. I just want to make the public known it takes a lot of maintenance to maintain.
Right, I mean, if the more manicured look they have, is more maintenance it's gonna take, and that's gonna take us away from the other projects that we're doing.
That was never the intent.
Yes.
Chad, I noticed there's a leak still out there. Did you never get that fixed?
That leak, actually, it's groundwater that's coming out from underneath the road, because we dug down, there is no water leak there. I mean, we dug that down and put 2 retention basins down in the ground. They're 4 feet tall, about 2 feet around. So when we actually dug down in there, there's water underneath the road that's coming up around there.
Another spring.
Like I said, the irrigation's off. So, I mean, the water line actually is closer to McDonald's on that one. I mean, where the water comes in, so there's no water. I don't think there's any water crossing there or anything like that. So when we dug down, it was actually coming out from underneath the road. So we tried to address that by putting the dry wells there so that it would fill up and leach off, and I don't think we're gonna accomplish it because of
Just
how
seems
much
odd. It never leaked before, and then all of a sudden it just started leaking.
Yeah, well, we were thinking that we just had a small thing, but then when we dug down, it was actually a lot of water coming out from underneath there. So I don't know. I've talked to John a little bit, but we haven't had time to assess it and see if we can figure out if there's a water leak somewhere or if it's just a spring.
Sorry. Another thing you could do is, I don't know what the irrigation schedules are, like as far as the watering. I mean, native grasses, typically you don't have to water them as much because they usually have deeper root structures to them. So you could look at maybe cutting back on the watering. We'll have less
They run
water
3
in the column.
minutes.
So, okay, that's fine. It's one extra item, you know, that we haven't talked about, so.
Yeah. Well, right now is what he's saying is there's water coming out right now. The irrigation's
Right.
off.
But it's also been the wettest December, January that we've had in quite some time. So there's water coming out of every street and every opportunity you can come out.
You got a lot of them to fix.
Okay, well, welcome. Any other questions of of Wayne. I mean, it was first day.
Right. Welcome.
Welcome.
Glad to have
Thank you.
Glad to have you
Appreciate
here.
Thanks. Anything else?
We'll give you a couple
Yeah.
weeks, then we'll get you.
Except for Joe, who will start first with the,
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you.
trying to make peace with his sister.
Okay, Kevin,
Impossible.
thank you.
I'd like to add a little bit about the water issues that we have all over town. Washington's very fortunate in the fact that we have a very high water table. For our aquifers are very high, so with that generates high surface water areas, which creates a lot of the water running around town that we see that everybody thinks is a water problem or a water issue. It is a water issue, but it's not. It's because we're very lucky to have the high water table, which is we're fortunate about.
Lucky
so.
to have water coming out of the ground everywhere, huh?
Well, it is good. I mean, be across the river where we every summer we'd have to worry about it. So, but for that part, there is just a lot of high water table issues that we run into. So, just let everybody know. A couple other things I want to let you guys know about. We have all the material ordered to extend the sewer line up to Melton's new project. So we'll be starting that next week. When we accomplish that and get that finished, we're going to move over to 3rd and Boone. We have a sewer line that's got a swag in it and it causes a little bit of problems. We're going to dig that up and fix that. And then hopefully by then we will have the approval from the insurance company to go and build a new well building at Well 9. We're waiting on that. So as everybody knows, we had a car decided they wanted to drive through water service. And
Are we gonna make that any bigger,
yes, we're actually going to make it, it's going to be, instead of a 10 by 18 building, it's going to be an 18 by 18 building. We're going to add a separate chlorine room in it. DNR's, their guidance is to, whenever we replace a building, to add a separate chlorine room, because that's what we have to do, so we'll separate everything out, which is safer for the guys and the lady that I have working for me, so that's what the plans are for a while, so.
Sounds good.
If anybody has any questions?
Any questions?
Keep fixing leaks.
We do it when they show up. Thanks.
Okay, Sal?
All right, let's go real quick here. Just following up on Projects Hood and Project Pressure, those are probably our two most viable, both of which our contacts there said they wanted to kind of wait till after the holidays before they made any next moves. So we're hoping we can I can make some headway this week and figure out what their next steps are. Those would be two fairly large-sized projects, and then also Project Brother. I have something in executive session to discuss, but hopefully we'll get that wrapped up and taken off the list after this week. I'm currently I'm working with the Washington Young Ambassadors and the Chamber. So for the next few months, I'll be spending some time creating and implementing a marketing plan with them. And it's going to have a couple different legs. A main part of it right now is we've contracted with a video production service company, a local one, and we're going to create a 6-part video series on Washington. Marketing Washington. Each video will have a different topic on why Washington is a good place to live, work, and play. And then we're also going to be, I'll be sitting down with potential donors. This is not going to be funded directly through the city or through the chamber. Myself and then the Washington Young Ambassadors, we're going to solicit sponsorships and donations from industries, stakeholders, groups in the community that could see the benefit of this. So we have a budget of about $20,000. So we're going to be soliciting those donations in the coming months. The goal is to have not only pay for the video, which that contract's about $9,000, but then to have funds available to actually have it be an online advertisement, a commercial that's played in college towns in the bi-state area. So we'll have a little bit more of an announcement on that on Thursday at the Chamber breakfast. But the main goal there is I'm kind of reprioritizing our strategic plan, our economic strategic plan towards workforce attraction, because that's the main issue we have right now. Everyone is hiring and no one can find the people that they need. So that's the main part of it. Along with that, I'm creating a new page on the Washmo Works site. That'll be a consolidated job opportunities page where anyone who, let's say they're looking for a job in Washington, they can go to that page, say they're a certified RN, they recently graduated, and they know they want to be a nurse in the area. They can go to our website, click on job opportunities. It'll have a list of fields, and then click on healthcare, and then we'll have links to whatever's open. Same with a welder or an engineer or anything like that. Because right now, the database on the chamber is effective, but only if each chamber member logs in and puts in their job openings, which there are currently 0 listed. And we know that's not the case. They're just not taking advantage of it, which I understand. It's an extra step. They have their own, their HR has own things to worry about. So we're going to try and eliminate that. We'll have an automatic email that goes out every month. They can respond with all their openings and how they get that link of how it's applied for, and we'll put that onto the website once a month. Hopefully that'll kind of get the word out of what's available, and then we'll have that link on all of our videos. We even talked about paying for a billboard as part of that marketing budget. It says, are you sick of commuting? You could be at work right now. Go to this site, and that kind of thing. So we're just trying to get creative. I am kind of hopeful that Young Ambassadors Group has met multiple times. They have a list of programs that they kind of want to implement over the next few months to get the word out and start really doing some workforce attraction. They started meeting in May once a month, and it kept going. Well, here's all the, here's maybe target industries that we want to try and track. Here's what we want to do, and it kept coming back to, even if we get anyone on the hook, which is something I would, I see all the time, but how is a brand new industry if we're trying to get a more professional engineering architecture firm, accounting firm, that kind of professional arm where it's still the people with the 4-year degrees coming back to live in Washington, if they can't find the workforce here, they're never going to locate here. So we're going to try and come at it from a different angle and get creative. And then other than that, January P&Z packets went out today. It's a fairly light agenda. Unfortunately, the MEDC conference, the winter one, it used to be on a Thursday, Friday. It got moved up to a Monday, Tuesday. So I'll be out next week during P&Z, so John's going to cover for me. It shouldn't be anything controversial. It's 2 easy ones. And then our master plan, I say that now, it probably won't be. Our master plan amendment that was supposed to be for January, unfortunately, it'll just be in February because I do want to be back for that because I've been discussing with P&Z, and I don't want to toss that on John's plate, since he wasn't there last month. But so that'll just be delayed a month, no big deal. That wasn't anything we had to do for grant purposes. We just like to update that every 5 years, and then we'll have a new one in 5 more years. So other than that, that's it. But I will be back in the office next Wednesday, but then I am out again Thursday, Friday. So if you need me face-to-face next week, I'll just be in Wednesday.
Any questions of Sal?
Thank you.
Okay, who hasn't? Tom? Who are we missing? Claire?
Good evening. I just have a couple little things I wanted to go over real quick. Right now, we've got 3 commercial alterations permits out. We've got, let's see here, 2 single-family homes. Things have slowed down pretty much at this point. I'm hopeful things are going to come back around here in the next few months now that we're through the holidays. And for the month, we did 125 total inspections. So, any questions?
Thank you, Tom. Sure. Mark?
Good evening, Council. Old Sporlin Plant number 1, we're still hopeful that that site will be listed in the National Priorities list at their spring sessions. That leads to the beginning of some possible cleanup efforts at that site. I've been visiting the city work sites to check compliance and encourage safe work practices and wearing of their proper personal protective equipment. Have been completing the emergency management grant reports and submitting this year's grant request. I'll be preparing the EPA Tier 2 reports for city-owned underground fuel storage tanks. And lastly, quarterly safety meeting will be January 17th at 1:30. Any questions?
Any questions of Mark?
Thank you.
Okay, Claire?
Been pretty busy at the library. Some highlights we have.
Claire, you want to pull the microphone down?
Yep. That's what happens when you're short. We've been pretty busy. One of the highlights was last week we had Countdown to Noon for the preschool age. They love Pete the Cat, so we had 250 people show up. They had milk and cookies. We gave them little champagne glasses with milk, and it was so cute. So we had a puppet show, and we had somebody dress up as Pete, and we had a good time. I just submitted a grant for a 3D printer, so I'm hoping that we'll have that pretty soon. We had a generous donation from Cora Rademacher. She gave us $2,000, and we're using that as matching funds for that. So we're staying busy. So
Any questions of Claire?
Nope. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Tim? That's everybody then.
That's it.
Good evening. Looked at our run statistics. I did a brief look at it. We're 675 runs last year, so we're up over 2017. The only fun fact out of the whole thing I know is that we run the most on Thursdays. I don't know why. That's the only fun fact out of it. I'll be doing a lot more digging into what we're actually running, but Thursdays just stood out. Rescue truck has been delayed. It was supposed to have been delivered November, December timeframe. That truck was been delayed. We got some news in September, working with the vendor through it. We're looking at a delivery date somewhere late April, but they're saying they can move that up as much as 4 to 6 weeks, so we're waiting to see where that's at right now. Target Solutions, the program, the software that we have for implementing our training that was recommended by consultants, is going live. Assistant Chief Risch is driving that effort. And having some IT issues, continued IT issues, and I'm working with Darren through Wash BC. I have a quote from them for hardware and software necessary to get us up and running and get us moving in a more efficient manner. We did run a bunch of heroin overdoses. We ran 7, I believe, in that same period that Chief Menifee was talking about, both city and outside the city. We ran 2 individuals twice, and that doesn't include all the runs. The PD did runs without us as well. So it was a busy time. I did send out a lengthy memo to our personnel about fentanyl safety, heroin, cart fentanyl safety, and some precautions for just our safety overall with working around these types of scenes. They're essentially hazmats.
Any questions of Tim?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that's everyone.
Mm-hmm. John, did John Noges, did you say anything?
John?
Yeah. We need a motion.
No.
Okay, do we want to do council comments now, or do we want to do that at the end of the next? Let's do that at the end one. Okay, so we can, any council, does anybody have anything else here?
Nope. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Patke, seconded by Moheski to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By your vote, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Start the next one.
Can we get Joe and Jeff a watch?
Sorry.
Susan a watch.
Were you guys late?
Susan emailed me.
I did. I
She texted me.
I was down Walmart.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm looking up and I'm going, there's something I got to be doing.
Well, I have to think real hard about
I do.
it.
I got to
have
set
think
something
real
on my
hard.
phone, or I got to. I'll
Because
get
I-
it.
Too easy.
At least I don't feel so bad.
Wide open for that.
All these, I
Mary
like,
did.
close at
Mary
5:30,
texted me.
I know.
and then go fix a quick stuff. I always have some leftovers in the house. and-
Yeah.
You're at Walmart, is that what you said?
Oh, wait a minute.
Walmart waiting in the
I was eating at
service
6
line.
o'clock. I'm like,
It's pretty fun.
what am I supposed to be doing?
Stuff.
Hey, do you know if Wayne is
That's how long it took me.
I did